Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3.
We'll start in about 5 minutes. Good evening, everyone. It's 7:10 p.m. I'm calling this regular meeting of the Village Board to order. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with Section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call is showing all trustees are present. Trustee Bob Warren and Trustee Kristen Borst will be calling in via WebEx. Now, if you can, please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are now on to the President's Report. Good evening, everyone. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. If you recall that at the last board meeting, I commented on the nice warm weather and the robins being outside. Well, I'm never going to say that again after what we experienced over the past 24 hours with the wind and the snow. A special shout out to our great snowplow operators for keeping our roads clear. Also, thank you to our DPW, police, fire, and village staff during this period as well. If all the fast food restaurants, gas stations, grocery stores are all open, don't you think that the village should be open as well? We have a business to run, and common sense says yes, as that's why we're here, as village operations must move forward. I'd like to share what has been going on since my last update. In the news you can use section, there are several updates. We have a new person sitting where our previous administrator would normally sit. I'd like to welcome Mitch Reynolds to the village as our interim village administrator. Mitch will be supporting us for the next for 3 days a week until such time that we hire a new village administrator. Welcome. This past week, we went back to school to learn about open meetings law and to ensure that we were all compliant. Invitees were extended to all village board members as well as every member of a village committee or commission. The session that was put on by our village attorney was also recorded for future viewing. So thank you, Brian, for doing that. The Germantown Area Chamber of Commerce held their annual candidate forum here in this boardroom last week. Candidates running for office participated, to include those running for county supervisor, circuit court judge, school board, and village trustee. All candidates did a great job in sharing what their positions are. Leadership Germantown, which is part of the chamber, held a fundraiser for our Germantown Police Canine program at Hounds and Tap in the Falls. It was great seeing Trustee Jan Miller there, as well as other leaders in the community. Fun was had by all. I have an update on the why it is taking so long to demo the Flower Source site project. Work toward the demolition of the Flower Source structures is continuing. As we discovered asbestos during the inspection, the process of obtaining permits from the DNR is largely complete for the greenhouse and the shop building. The basement of the house that is there is flooded, and believe it or not, the water in the basement is frozen, which we are now thawing. The permits cannot be obtained until the ice is thawed and drained. I am confident that the demolition process is on track and will be completed soon. You may have heard in the news that former employee Deanna Braunschwag, hopefully I said that, was arrested for allegedly embezzling funds from the village of Neosha, where she served as village clerk. We have been in communication with the agency investigating this matter and have completed a preliminary review of the Germantown financial data to identify whether similar transactions occurred here. This preliminary review has to date not revealed similar wrongdoings in Germantown. Moving on to this evening's village board, our agenda includes some important matters that include, in the consent agenda, we have several high-ticket items that the board will be taking action on. Prior to approving, and for transparency purposes, I will ask staff to briefly explain what each item is. We have also back on the agenda to adopt an official snow and ice removal map, which is required by the update to the municipal code 8.02. Finally, the board may take action on backfilling the open director of DPW position, along with consideration of a retention bonus to ensure continuity of operations going forward. Please note that next month, and due to the April 7th election, we will have only one village board meeting, and that will be on April 20th. I'm looking forward to our meeting this evening as we all work together to move Germantown forward and to make our community a better place to live, work, and play. Thank you. We are now on to announcements of forthcoming events of public interest, committee and department reports. Trustee Kaminsky.
Public Works will meet in this room at 5:30 PM on April 8th, which is a Wednesday.
Trustee Rick Miller.
General Government and Finance will meet on Monday, April 20th, and we move that to 5 PM.
Thank you. Trustee Medcuts.
Public Safety will not meet on April 6th either because of getting ready for the election, but we will be having a special Public Safety meeting on Thursday, April 9th at 6 PM in this room.
Thank you. Would any other committee chair or trustee like to say anything? Trustee Jan Miller.
Evening. We will have a Economic Development Committee meeting on April 14th at 6 PM in this room. In addition, I just wanted to make mention that we are working on the 4th of July, and just stay tuned. We will have a 4th of July event, parade, activities, fireworks. So stay tuned and we'll get back to you right away. I mean, as soon as we have other information.
Great, thank you. Moving on to, I'm sorry.
And I would just also like to note that the election for April 7th, the previous location being used temporarily while Bethlehem was under construction, is now resumed back. It has went from the senior center to Bethlehem. So folks that are in that district, in District 1, will resume back to their polling location at Bethlehem. In addition, we will be offering in-person absentee voting here in Village Hall in the boardroom. And first week of the date that will begin is going to be Tuesday, March 24th. Please look on our website under the clerk's page for hours, and we will be offering extended hours.
Excellent information. Thank you. We are now on to item 6, citizen input. Would anybody like to come forward and speak tonight? You have 4 minutes. Anyone on WebEx? I'm shocked, but that's good. Okay, moving on to item 7, consent agenda. And we've got a lot of data here. And what I'd like to do, because there's a lot of high ticket items, if it's okay to have Scott come up and explain, and then I'll entertain a motion if that's okay. Scott, you want to come up?
Tom Bryan with the map and everything that was just loaded. He'd like to have the map outward facing.
And Scott, specific to item D, Dan Larson Landscaping, item E, purchasing street light fixtures, item F, the telecom permit reviews, and item H, the contract with Ruckert and Mikey for the lift stations. So,
Okay, I can speak to items D and E. Hopefully, engineer Kevin Driscoll is in his office and coming up here. And Tim, would you be item H? So, okay. Happy to speak on D and E. Coming out of Public Works, we talked about our annual spring tree planting. So what you're seeing before you is just the cost of that spring tree planting. We went out to about 8 or 9. Actually, I got it right here behind. Out to a number of contractors. We had 7 of them that we went out to. Dan Larson was the lowest bid. Again, this planting is in accordance with the comprehensive tree plan. And Dan has done work for us here at the village on several different occasions. Projects have gone well. So recommended to the Public Works Committee. And I think they forwarded that obviously on to the village board with positive recommendation.
and that's for $27,866.
Correct.
Then item E.
Item E, we talked about this during the 2026 budget process and again at our last Public Works meeting. The village has light fixtures around the village, street light fixtures that are roughly 18 years old. About 10 years ago, we upgraded them to LED corncob style fixtures, and we were seeing a failure rate in those right now. So again, just bringing forward a project where we can go around most of our main thoroughfares and replace Cobra head light fixtures and shoebox light fixtures. And that should probably buy the village another 18 to 20 years of having some pretty solid street lighting around the village. Again, talked about it at Public Works, but Mequon Road, our intersections that are along County Line Road, Appleton Avenue, Pilgrim Road. So some of our big high profile areas, definitely kind of a safety enhancement as well at a number of our major intersections. Things should be a little bit brighter.
And that's for $112,226.58.
That is correct.
And I think that's all for you, right?
That is.
Kevin, you got a second? To come up and talk about item F and G, the telecom permit reviews and the telecom company's agreement. And the telecom permit reviews is to the amount of $360,000. So just give a high level overview of what that is.
Yes, good evening. There's two items related to telecom, item F and item G. So item F is for the consulting services and item G is for the agreements. And at the Public Works and Highways Committee, we took up item G to discuss entering into agreements prior to having the consultant services contracts go into effect, where ultimately there's a number of telecommunications companies that are seeking permits that have high staff demand, given the volume of the permit requirements. And we're looking to contract consulting services for the permit review and site inspections. So that's what was presented to the Public Works Committee with a contract for Clark Dietz to perform those permit reviews and inspection services on a time and materials basis. So that's it.
And that's going to be a pass-through cost. The companies that are going to be coming in to lay down the fiber optic will be paying all those costs associated with that.
Right. So that's what the agreement part would cover, is the cost recovery of 100% is what staff has discussed with both of the respective points of contact at the utilities.
Great, thank you. Item G, and the agreement is with how many suppliers are we coming into our village? Two, okay.
Yep. Metronet, T-Mobile, and AT&T.
And that will be occurring over the summertime, fall?
Yes, originally AT&T was trying to get started last year, and they were looking to start in April, but given the soft ground and the impact that they would have with their restoration, they're going to try to wait till the ground gets a little firmer.
Great, thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Tim, if you could come forward and comment on the Main Street lift station and Old Farm lift station improvements in the amount of $532,659.
So as addressed in the staff memo, this dovetails in with the sanitary sewer system facilities plan that was adopted in 2024, which is currently in the hands of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for adoption and recommendation. The second phase of that was the in-depth look at Main Street and Old Farm pump stations and the necessity to do some significant upgrades to accommodate future growth of the village. We had excellent response to this request. We had 8 consulting firms met on a mandatory site visit. Few of them backed out after that site visit. Rupert and Milky was our low bidder and also our consultant of record for the facilities plan. And we're recommending them with a low bid not to exceed of $532,659 for the design and bidding of the Main Street and Old Farm upgrades.
Great, now, I got a really stupid question. Who's paying for this? I mean, we know this is going to be debt, but this comes out of the folks that are be paying for this are the users for water and sewer, is that correct?
Correct. We also have an application in for a Clean Water Fund loan. It will be a low interest loan through the state.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through H.
I'll second.
We have discussion. Trustee Cutts.
Well, I just have a question since you're doing a new procedure now. If we have a question on something, are we supposed to ask it when they're up there or
Yeah,
pull
you
something
can,
at this
yeah.
point, or how are we doing
Yeah,
that?
the reason why I wanted to put this on, because even though we have the background material, it's gone through, we followed process and went through Public Works, Utility Advisory Committee. This is more for the folks that are watching online and also in the audience. So,
Okay, I just wasn't sure if we're supposed to pull something if we have a question or ask it when they're up there.
yeah, I apologize for not providing clarity on that, but you can ask anytime. So,
Okay,
great. No further discussion. All those in favor? We have roll call because there's dollars involved. So, and we can't forget about Trustee Borster, Bob, or Trustee Warren. So,
You have it pulled up? Okay. Trustee Ketz,
aye.
Trustee Baum,
Aye.
Trustee Jan Miller,
Aye.
Trustee Borst,
Aye.
Trustee Pieper, Trustee Warren,
Aye.
Trustee Rick Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky, President Soderberg.
aye, that motion carries. We are now on to item 8, unfinished business. Item A, a resolution to adopt an official snow and ice removal map as required by the update to municipal code 8.02. And timing is everything with all the snow that we got. So, Scott?
Couldn't have been better. Actually could have been 70 again like last Monday. Important topic tonight, and I have a number of facts here that I want to kind of work through, just as a reminder for everybody, so that as we're having the discussion here, we're making an informed decision. One of the many tasks that we have as staff is to look at potential budgetary and operational constraints that we have and bring those forward to our committee jurisdiction and the village board. Former Director Matt Mortwood did that in the form of a memo to the Public Works Committee in June of 2024, which is what got this discussion started. And just kind of outlining a few steps as to how we got to where we're at today. As part of the 2026 annual budget, we brought forward $322,000 worth of capital equipment purchases. And during the budgetary discussions, there were some reductions made to a sidewalk tractor, which clears both sidewalks in the wintertime and also takes care of mowing of large areas of turf in the summertime. That dollar amount was reduced and enough money was left in the budget, roughly $150,000, in order to just buy a turfed tractor, fold-down mower. There was an additional piece of equipment, which was $50,000. That's a tractor that was used primarily for clearing snow, pretty much only for clearing snow on Main Street. That was removed from the 2026 capital budget altogether. Those removals provided about $172,000 worth of total capital savings. And, obviously that's reducing the equipment that we have available to us for clearing sidewalks. Just as a quick note, we did talk about this at Public Works. The remaining funds for the fold-down mower have not been spent yet. Obviously, adopting this map and finding a new course of action moving forward is important. And so we didn't want to run out and buy that mower so that we can make sure we flush this entire process out and that we don't have to revisit another sidewalk tractor down the road. In October 27th, 2025, the village board took action to change ordinance 8.02. The amended ordinance does call for the village board to adopt an official map. Village staff worked behind the scenes to take some of the considerations that we had heard about and incorporate them into the map that you see before you. Some of those things were trying to get rid of as much sidewalk as we can. That was one of the goals, while still maintaining the square mile of Mequon Road, Pilgrim Road, Donjas Bay, and Division, which is a primary walking corridor. And then obviously looking at our own properties, we are the adjacent owner. And so all those things put together is how staff, former Director Mortwitt, myself, and our GIS specialist, Sharon, we worked through that process over the course of a number of meetings, internal meetings. That proposed map was brought to the Public Works Committee and then moved on to the Village Board. It received positive recommendation from the Public Works Committee and moved on to the Village Board for consideration December 1st of 2025. And at that meeting, that proposed map did fail and was sent back to the Public Works Committee for consideration. A few elected officials did reach out to former Director Mortwitt and made some comments. There was no real guidance given on things to remove or things we could add. He and I did meet with one trustee and we had a great discussion about how the map was developed. And I think that led to a better understanding and potential support of the map that we are looking at here again. The map was discussed earlier this month, I should say, at the Public Works Committee, and again, received a positive recommendation and is before us tonight here at the Village Board for discussion and potential action. Couple other notes, when we were first talking about this, there were several options laid out. We could change nothing and continue to maintain sidewalks as we were. We could turn everything over to village residents. And what we landed on was a hybrid approach of the village maintaining things where we had rear facing yards and the adjacent property owner taking care of front facing and side facing yards. Generally speaking, all backyard residential properties will still be maintained by the village. And I say that very carefully. There are some backyard properties where it's commercial, apartment, homeowners association, condominium association. And again, as we were developing this, we were looking at the fact that a lot of those different places are already using a contractor to clear their internal parking lots, streets. If it's a private HOA, they might be doing internal sidewalks. So they've already got contractors and people doing that kind of work. As we were discussing that, staff was never intending that somebody that lived in a condo that was rear facing was going to have to walk to the back of the yard and clear their own rear sidewalk. It was all of those instances are commercial based. Just get my bearings here. So we were looking, the initial map that we started with was just a map, very similar to what you're seeing. It was red and blue, but what it was depicting was every yard that was rear facing and every yard that was front facing. So as we talked about at Public Works, we could capture long sections of front facing property. That's where we were trying to turn that over to the adjacent owner. And I could give some examples, but a lot of people will be able to picture the east and west side of Pilgrim Road, primarily from Donges Bay south. That's a great example of just a nice long stretch of front facing. And that was, as you'll see on the map, that's turned over to the adjacent landowner. If you were to look at Donges Bay Road from 145 to Pilgrim Road, that's an area, especially on the north side and even on the south side, where it was very segmented. You have a front yard and then a backyard, maybe a couple front yards in a row and then another backyard. So again, as we were looking and developing this map, it was important that we made something that was operationally easy for our staff to do. We definitely don't want a map that we adopt where our staff is out there and they're driving off the sidewalk at this property and driving on the sidewalk at the next property. So where we had those instances of inconsistency, the village continued to maintain that. So that's why you're seeing that section of Donges Bay, that we will continue to maintain that. In addition to that, we're traveling right from the DPW campus down that thoroughfare. But that's the bigger reason behind it. It was a very inconsistent backyard, front yard staggering situation. I guess a couple things, a couple other notes. We've been discussing this for a number of months. Even if you go back to the initial memo, all the way back to 2024, we talked in a number of meetings about the ability to, we weren't going to do this in winter 25, 26. We were going to wait until 26, 27. That was supposed to allow us plenty of time to make notification of the change so that people could plan for it. And again, I guess I'd just note that The longer this drags on, the less time we have to make that notification and for residents to understand what's happening. In addition to that, for myself personally, ultimately in the end, this is going to be a village board decision. We've changed the ordinance. We're looking and seeking input. We need to adopt a map, and if we can't get to that, DPW will continue to maintain the sidewalks as we do today. The absence of the map, we'll just keep going the way we are. That said, holding off on the mower purchase, I'm trying to be wise about not rushing out and spending that money, because if we don't change the map or adopt the map and have it change, and we have to continue to maintain, we're going to need to bring those pieces of equipment back that we cut out of the budget last year and talk about those again next year. So we're trying not to do anything rash. We're trying to make sure we're following a good process here and that we get to where we need to be. But in the end, I guess that's my summary for you. Happy to answer any questions people may have, whether they're cost savings or operational, if it helps you make your decision.
Questions for Scott? Trustee Cutts?
I don't really have any questions. I originally voted no on the ordinance change and the original map that came through because I live in the rural area. I'd like to see the village stay rural, and I don't want to see more sidewalks. And I told that to you and Matt when we met. However, I did grow up in West Bend, and we were responsible for clearing our sidewalks. I mean, I think most places are that. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy, and we can't make everybody happy, but I will support this map.
Yeah, I live in the southeast corner of the village at, there's a long stretch of sidewalk on County Line that will be the responsibility of my homeowners association, and that'll be a pass-through cost for me. But I'm gonna, go down this path too. I'm gonna vote for it, So questions for staff relative to the sidewalks, not how we're gonna vote, because we'll do that when we entertain a motion through discussion. So Trustee Rick Miller?
Yeah, a couple things. I heard from a resident that just said, not doing it, find me. So what's the process for this if they don't clear their sidewalk?
Gonna look to my attorney friend here, but I do believe we would have some code language that would allow the village to go back and fine people. Again, I don't know that that's something I'm actively going to go out and look to do. We're going to continue to maintain the sidewalks where we're either the adjacent landowner or we've said that we're going to go out and do it according to the map. But I certainly feel like if there was a problematic area, there's probably a means to address that in our code. Agree with that?
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure what the process is going to be, or, is it one snowstorm? Is it two? Or is it, I know we can do it at any point in time that it isn't cleared within that proper amount of.
I guess I would add this, when we have problems elsewhere, maybe not related to sidewalks, there's typically a process of notifying somebody via a letter, giving a period of time for correction. Maybe we send a secondary letter that's certified and outline the problem there, and then potentially run into a finding type situation.
Yeah, during the agenda review last week with former administrator Krecklo, I asked that question, and he said exactly what you said, Scott. But I would definitely support something that's more black and white. I mean, what does that mean? Every quarter inch of snow, I've got to clear it, and I've got to do it within 24 hours or 36 hours. I think we need to provide more clarity for our constituents, for the taxpayers. So.
The code actually provides for both. It can be a monetary penalty, a forfeiture. That would be a municipal court citation. I would envision that to be a last case scenario, somebody that we're repeatedly seeing issues with. Probably more likely, and what's consistent with most other communities that have sidewalks that impose this requirement, is that you provide notice and say, hey, you got to clear off your sidewalk. If you don't do it, we're going to come in and do it for you, charge the cost of that against the property. If we do that, the cost of then going out and maintaining that sidewalk gets put on the tax bill at the end of the year, and they would be expected to pay at that point. So,
So you just answered my other question that if we do it, that could be charged back to the homeowner.
correct. Yep.
Okay. Second follow-up. I brought up my parents because they have a lot of sidewalk, 540 feet that they're going to be responsible for. That sidewalk currently isn't getting plowed. There's areas in Germantown that we do not do the sidewalks right now. So should we have a map, maybe a reduced map, where we don't do sidewalks? Currently, we're not doing them. We did it for the parks, right? We reduced the amount that we plow in the parks, or I don't know, there was a subject about that in Public Works a few years ago where we reduced the amount of sidewalks or trails that we took care of in the winter. It just was a thought in my mind that, okay, now the responsibility shifts, but we're not even doing it. But now the responsibility is going to shift on the homeowner who could potentially get a fine for something that's never been done.
Yeah. Couple, I'll go back to the parks just for the clarity there. Typically, in the park system, what we're maintaining from a winter road maintenance or path maintenance is access to features that are open. So if we have a structure where we're worried about a structure fire, we keep that area open. Paths and different things that are leading to at Kinderberg, the sledding hill, so on and so forth, rentals at Fireman's, those things are cleared. But there's a number of paths that are within the park system that are not cleared. You are correct. There are a number of sidewalks in the village that have never been cleared by the village and have sat idle, either with snow on them or maintained. Landon Road between County Line and the 175 roundabout is a prime example of that. The only thing I can tell you is that, again, the map that's before you is at least consistent with a standpoint of who would be responsible for it. But again, from my own personal standpoint, I won't be actively seeking, I'm not going to drive around looking for who's doing their sidewalk or not doing it. I think it would be more a complaint coming to the village that we have to address with. And at least this way, we've established who should be responsible. I will say I do know there is one guy. It's a 6 or 7 foot path out there. He does it with a pickup truck right now currently. But I think he's one of however many homes are out there, 8 or whatever, that's doing the sidewalk. The rest of them are
Landon?
sitting undone.
On Landon Road, you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. I didn't think you were doing that one. What about the new one, High Point Pass? Up in there? That's brand new, but Holy Hill Road, does that get cleared?
Yeah, so right now, we're not clearing Holy Hill Road.
Right.
But I think that again, we did talk about that a little bit at Public Works. There are sections out there that were the adjacent landowner. So as things start to develop and boom out there, we've identified it as something that we're going to continue to do. We're going to be smart about it operationally. We're not going to waste the time to go clear it when there's nothing happening. But at the point where the park develops out there or something different, there's a need because there's a number of businesses and there's walkers. At that point, that will become our responsibility, and it's reflected as such on the map, and just something that we'll keep track of operationally.
I brought it up not because I'm against having it go to the homeowners, but when a homeowner has never had their sidewalk cleared in front of them, and now you tell them that this is shifting to their responsibility, you are going to get pushback.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a lot of it. And you got to be prepared for that. That there are going to be people who say that.
No, and I don't disagree with that. Again, in transparency, I think the village would be responding to complaints that we get from other citizens. There's nobody that's on our staff. I mean, candidly speaking, we don't have the time. Everybody was very busy today. We're not going to be driving around looking for somebody that didn't clear their sidewalk and, writing, "Hey, Pat, we need you to come and write a ticket for us." It's just not going to happen.
And it sounds like I'm not in support of this map, but I am. I voted in favor of it in Public Works. I'm just bringing up questions as they came up to me.
They're very legitimate questions.
Thank you. Trustee Baum, and then trustee Warren, and then trustee John Miller. Trustee Baum.
So the question I have is, you're going to give somebody a ticket because they're responsible for shoveling it. They responsible for the liability? If somebody slips and falls on the sidewalk that they're supposed to be maintaining? Who gets sued? The village or the homeowner?
Probably both.
I was gonna say in today's legal system, and probably both people, but again, we won't actively be looking to ticket anybody, but
No, you're not. That's fine. But when somebody doesn't do it and then there's a slip and fall, that sidewalk should have been shoveled by somebody. Oh,
It should have, and I think in that scenario, if the village can show progression that, hey, somebody made a complaint about the sidewalk not being cleared, we've sent a letter, we've sent a second letter, we've gone and cleared it, now we're billing them back. Again, could there be pushback about that? Potentially, and it's not gonna be a fun discussion. But again, I think when we get to the very root of this entire topic, we're really, we talked about this at Public Works. We talked about it at the board last time. I think we're the enigma of communities doing this kind of work around our town. And there are many tasks. We talked about the monetary savings and the staff time that it takes to do this work. It's harder to quantify. Because it varies so much based on the type of winter we're having, how much snow was it, how many times we have to go out. But there's no question after doing this for 25 years that if we can reduce the scope of our map, we are going to be more effective doing something different. And again, I alluded to this at the Public Works meeting. I've got a topic that I want to talk about with the Public Works Committee next month, where we had just that. We went ahead and we saved the village money by being able to do something in-house rather than pay a contractor to do it. And those are the types of things when you, even though it's hard to quantify, when you look at that and you say, hey, this is extra staff time that we can be doing X, Y, or Z,
mhm.
and we're coming out on the right side of that. Those are things that I want to keep looking at.
And what I've heard after the fact is if we would go out and outsource it, we could find plow companies that would do it a hell of a lot cheaper than we're doing it. So it looks like we didn't think about that.
I mean, it's definitely something that we could explore as a village. There still has to be funding for it, whatever it costs. You know, you're right. We'll get away from the initial equipment cost. We'll be able to disperse our labor differently and use it differently on other projects. So those are two benefits to the village. But you know, it doesn't change the fact of budget time that there's still going to have to be a line item and a dollar amount that covers that expenditure.
Trustee Warren.
Just a couple of points. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So I know it's tough for residents to give up something that the village has been providing for, but like Scott said, this is an anomaly. And I couldn't name any other community that provides this service. I'm all about saving money as far as equipment and labor and to put it towards something that we are also in greater need of. So I support this big time. I know everybody's got their opinion as far as, you know, they'd like to tweak it here, they'd like to tweak it there. And my concern with that is it introduces inconsistency. And this is the key here. We got to be consistent with the standards that we use to plow this and to not plow that. So it's a living document. I certainly want to approve this now and we can move forward and even make it a better document as we get into next season. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Jan Miller.
Thank you. I've heard several residents that are opposed to this. One thing that, as I'm looking at this map, you're not going to plow Dungeness Bay going on Preserve Parkway to Kinderberg Park, but you'll plow right in front. And I don't believe that, I just don't, you're right there. And you're doing Dungeness Bay, all of Dungeness Bay, by the way, or most of it up to the traffic circle. So I just think that's a real hazard if we're not doing the connections. So We did it for years. If there is something that you can quantify that you're going to use these people at the certain time to do other projects and what those projects are, I would feel a lot better for saying, go ahead, do whatever you want. But you know,
I mean,
as we raise taxes, people are like, oh, you're taking this away, you're taking that away. You took away library hours. Now you're taking away plowing, blah, blah, blah. We perhaps you want to look at us as an anomaly, but that can be a benefit too. So that's what I
I think,
wanted to
I think
say.
the thing that I would share is in that case, I think we were trying to be consistent with the direction of the Public Works Committee. And from Dundas Bay until we get to Kinderberg is a nice long stretch of sidewalk that we don't have to maintain. And we can give to the adjacent landowner. It's not segmented house by house or property by property. At Kinderberg Park, we are the adjacent landowner, which is why we're going to still do it. But I think the important thing for me to put out there and just so that everybody has an understanding, in the end, if the board chooses that we're going to keep maintaining sidewalks the way we are, this guy's okay with it. But it's going to take the equipment, and it's going to take the time, and it's going to take the staff. And as Matt outlined in his memo in 2024, the village owns 3 of those pieces of equipment. That's just shy of $1 million worth of equipment that are used to clear the village sidewalks. Again, as the village continues to grow and expand, more staff could be needed, more equipment could be needed. So those are just considerations.
Any further trustee Jan Miller?
I'm not in favor of adding any other subdivisions for the plowing for the village to do any other plowing, just to halt the expansion of any other plowing. That's where I'm
Trustee
at.
Kaminsky.
Thank you.
Obviously, it's gone through Public Works. We've been talking about it for a long, long time. And we came back exactly with this map is the most fair way to do this. Again, the key points are, this is an anomaly that we even do this at all in the village of Germantown. It's residents' responsibilities everywhere else you look. Second, you could ask yourself, is it fair for the entire village, for everybody to support these few areas where these condos are, where we're getting complaints? The whole village is paying for that. It's on our tax bill if we need all this extra new equipment and staff. And I would submit that's not particularly fair to those of us who don't live in that area. I mean, this map I totally support, and I think it's time to put this issue to rest after a 1.5 years plus of talking about it.
I'll entertain a motion and so we could get further
I
discussion.
will make a motion to accept the official snow and ice removal map as presented.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. We have 2 opposed. Trustee Borston and trustee Jan Miller.
Thank you,
Moving-
everyone.
Moving on, thank you very much. Moving on to new business, item A, a resolution establishing a fee schedule for weights and measures devices required under section 12.26 of the municipal code.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion. Say none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to item B, a resolution. This is allowing the claim of Lance Ambrose, village attorney.
Sure. So just very quickly, this is a claim of an individual who effectively lost control of his vehicle, blames the village for that fact. We've investigated the circumstances of the claim, had the insurance company look at it as well. It's both my opinion and the insurance company's opinion that there is immunity for any actions that the municipality undertook in this case, and so we would recommend denying the claim.
Thank you. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the denial of the claim as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Trustee Jen Miller.
I was reading through the summary, and the person that owns the car claimed that a police officer said that they should give the keys to the passenger. And that's ensued. It wasn't the passenger's car. It wasn't his authority.
Not exactly what happened in my understanding. The individual gave the passenger the keys and the individual came and said, "Hey, I'm here to pick up the car," because he wanted me to pick up the car. It wasn't that we indicated that he should turn over the keys. To my knowledge, Chief, are you there? Is that? Yeah. Chief is
Oh.
nodding that's correct. It's not unusual for passengers to, when somebody gets stopped and gets arrested, one of the questions that officers typically have is, do you want us to leave the vehicle on the side of the road? Do you want us to, move it off the side? What happens? And typically, the response more times than not is either leave it and I'll have a family member come get it, or they'll have the passenger that's there, take it and move it. So it's certainly nothing about this would have raised a red flag as to any potential wrongdoing on the part of the individual who had the keys and said, "Here, I'm here to take the car."
Did this go before public safety or just here?
Typically, claims we just bring directly here.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any, well, that motion carries 8-0. Item Item C, appointment of a director of public works. The village board may convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85(1)(c) for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction, and then may convene into open session to take action as it deems appropriate. Should I also identify D as well, Brian?
You can. We've often done motions on both.
As well as item D, retention bonuses for certain key employees. The village board may convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85(1)(c) for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibly, and then may convene into open session to take appropriate such action as it deems appropriate. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to take the question separately, please.
Certainly.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session for the Public Works Director.
We have a second.
Second.
We have discussion. Seeing none, I think that's roll call, correct? We go into closed session, Donna?
Yes, was that trustee Warren that seconded that?
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call vote, trustee Cutts,
Aye.
trustee Baum,
Aye.
trustee Jan Miller,
Aye.
trustee Rick Miller.
I kind of lost signal. If you're still voting, I vote aye.
Same, I vote aye as well.
Trustee Warren and trustee Boris both vote aye. Motion folks is to go into closed session on item D for the retention bonuses. Trustee Warren, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Borst?
Aye.
Trustee Borst?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'll call both of you on the speakerphone here.
Thank you.
Sounds good.